Well, it didn't happen easily at first. And so at the very beginning, I'd taken some study courses. I decided I would do these rent to own deals, which I've done a lot of. That's not the only thing I do, but often selling a property that way generates a little better profits in per house or per transaction. It works out really well. And so so I'd still need to buy them and get them. And so I decided I would do that more. And so my sister was getting married one summer, and I drove all the way to Winnipeg, which is in central Canada. So it's a good 17 or 18 hours of driving for me to get there. And I go there, and I'm going to spend a couple weeks. I have 2 weeks of holidays. I still have a job at this point. I'm not quite full time. This is during those developing years, and I thought I could approach. I'd set up appointments with my friends, my families, their parents. I think I was probably about 26 or 27 at the time, and I had 50 appointments set up during these 2 weeks, and I was going to pitch this rent-own deal. I already had an offer on a property, and I didn't have enough money to be able to buy it, and so that created a little bit of like need. I don't necessarily recommend doing that, but that was the situation I was in. I needed to find some money to buy this house because I'd promised it to a family that I would let them do rent to own on it. And so I made up these glossy brochures, and I put all kinds of market data about the property, and I crammed these folders full of info. And I went and met with all 50 of those people. I tried pitching my deals. They knew that's what I was there for. And at the end of it, I ended up having to drive back to my hometown, and not a single person had said yes to me. And so I literally completely failed and spent my entire holiday with no capital raised. Like there was every day except for the wedding and a little bit of help preparing for the wedding to help out my sister. My time was in these meetings back to back and driving around and trying to go to my inner circle, the people I know most. And so I drove back, and I felt a little bit in despair because I'd really given my word to this family that I'd get them this house. And so I didn't stop. I kept approaching more and more people, and eventually had a meeting in a coffee shop, and a woman said yes. And so my confidence grew. And then another guy said yes, and another friend of mine said yes, and I had the rest of the money myself. So I said, great, at least now the pressure's off, and at least I can get this family this house. And so that worked out. 2 years went by, the house was sold, paid everybody back. They made a good return on it. And at the same time, I got my own money back, and word had got out that I was doing a little bit of this and setting it up. And so some people started coming to me, and I kept doing these presentations and meeting with them. I kept having these fairly structured 1 hour long coffee meetings. And by the end of the meeting, I'd either find out if they're going to do my deal with me or not. Right. And I just started doing more of that. And I started doing a little bit of teaching, where I would teach people some fundamentals about how mortgage lending works, because that's ultimately what I'm convincing most of them, that their money can be safe and secure with real estate behind it. And so it's secured by a real tangible asset. And so a lot of people really like that. And so if they want just a very secure return, and a bit higher, we're using it for investment projects. So they're doing better than what they're getting at the banks. And so people are very happy with that. And when they learn those things, they typically want to do these deals with me, and it just starts attracting itself the more and more. And now I get contacted cold by people who know that this is what I do, as well as we're constantly, every time these deals complete, we're constantly paying back the people who started with us. And so when that goes around, people tell their friends they got all their money back and everything they were promised. And then after that, their friends, bring people. And so word gets around pretty quickly when people are very happy with what you're doing for them.